There are two major thoughts, in a sense, that are dominating the moment. One of them is ignorance is bliss, and the other is ignorance is the source of suffering. Your pick. What is the opposite of ignorance? Well, you might call it knowing, knowledge, truth, and sometimes the truth becomes obscured. In fact, through much of life, truth is an assembly of agreed upon feelings and thoughts that make us feel we are connected to a kind of knowing. It's a comfortable space. Truth is comfortable. And comfort may be the greatest truth we're looking for in life. I know that doesn't always align, but truth, as some people say, sets you free. And we get the feeling that freedom is a joyous and comfortable state. But there are gradations to truth, gradations to comfort, gradations to knowing. And they can and will be challenged by life more than you can even imagine. Because so much of our knowing in life has to do with collective history, past unfolding in a particular way, predictability, a certain sense that this is how it is, and it's very comfortable. And then something comes, can come, and shake that all up. And it tests everything about your sense of security, your sense of awareness and knowing, and it brings about profound discomfort, maybe even suffering. You can slip back into ignorance if you want, which is a place where you are not examining the truth of your life or the unfolding of what is occurring around you or has been. And it's comfortable for a time, and, you know, good luck. But there are moments where truth will be challenged in ways that are shocking to the entire biology of your existence. And that comes down to the very core of your existence. Because we really do think of ourselves as biological entities in a material world that has a certain amount of consistency and predictability and a certain amount of uncertainty and challenge and change. But the foundational structure of that is your biology, your mind, the world as it has held itself together for however many years you've been around. And it's kind of bedrock. This is the what is. But as you get older and as you go deeper into the solidity of bedrock, You start to discover it's not as solid and strong as you think it is. And at some point, the bedrock of your life, the very biology of your existence, starts to crumble away. It can do it in a flash, it can do it over time, but at some point, everything you knew to be true and held to be true is profoundly challenged by the loss of that core knowing. At which point, you might be able to go to a deeper knowing that feels less biological and more spiritual. Even that spiritual is based on and connected to your physicality and your biology because that's how you know it. As you go deeper into yourself, you're going deeper into the manifested form, and you are looking for this thing that will hold your hand and this truth that will abide no matter what is going on around you. And the problem with that, that even as you go deeper and deeper and deeper, the bedrock falls away and the very idea of knowing, the very idea of cognation disappears, and it cannot be brought together with a you that knows. And so the real journey is to know you, because the you that knows is the part of you that suffers. The you that knows is this separate, tutored, programmed entity, biological construct that thinks it has a grasp on reality and truth. But as long as you're in a body, that reality and truth is very malleable. The real work of spiritual practice, if you will, is letting go of that certainty, letting go of even your biology, letting go of anything that you think that you can hold on to that is true, because the problem is you holding that. I know I say that pretty much weekly, but the real journey is to oneness, totality, wholeness, singularity. That's where we are working in our spiritual journey. And as you go there, you are going to discover in ways that will shock your system that you don't know. Because the you that holds on to information is a not a false construct, but a temporary one, meaningful, essential to the largeness of existence and the universe, but it comes into being and it goes out of being, or it comes into manifestation and it unmanifests. Excuse me. The lack of manifestation may not be, and I would say through my own practice and through the teachings of great teachers, that the lack of manifestation, the loss of it, is not the end of you. It is the end of your manifested form. It's the end of your temporary existence, but you are something other. And finding that, or at least connecting to the possibility of that, to the truth of you existing without your mind-body construct, that there's still this quality of being which may actually be infinite and vast and eternal. Without that, none of this will make full sense. And if you are living a life that is completely invested in the outer, you will suffer because you are going to hold on to the primary drive of human existence, which is comfort. Comfort that comes from knowing, comfort that comes from a certainty. You want all that. And just getting old helps destroy that. Just having your body fall apart destroys that. But then when the world around you starts to fall apart, which is not something that happens all the time, although throughout the course of human history, it has been a constant. The world around you shattering, falling apart, turning into chaos, turning into the unpredictable and the uncomfortable reality. It's not something everybody knows or is prepared for. We as a culture are profoundly unprepared for that. We simply have not experienced in our culture, our particular culture, the kind of devastating universe that happens for many, many people on this planet and in this manifested space. But now we are being given a taste, and maybe more than a taste, of a real disintegration of comfort, of certainty, of knowing, of right and wrong, of what is real and what is unreal. Boy, that is really a test. It's a real test. And what do you do with that test? Well, ignorance is bliss. Put your head in the sand, not happening, nothing there, not real. Or go to Buddha. Ignorance is the source of suffering, which means pay attention. But pay attention to what? Does it mean reading the newspaper every day? It maybe includes reading the newspaper. But what it really means is pay attention to core truth and watch it explore and expose itself. Watch it unveil itself, because the incredible thing that Buddha taught us sitting under that bo tree for 6 years is that there is this otherness, this vastness of reality, of being, and that it overcomes suffering. It overcomes ignorance. And the path to that is stillness, working in yourself. None of us have time to sit for 6 years under a bo tree, but we do have the time, maybe 20 minutes a day or whatever it is, or all day if you can really start this process going, where you just open to the truth as it unfolds. And it will unfold in remarkable ways. And you may not like it. And as long as there's a you there that's seeing things that are discomforting, you probably won't like it. It's like betrayal. I thought this was the truth, and now you're being told, no, it's not the truth. It's different than the truth. The truth is something much more profound than the story your mind put together for you. And it's going to go away. I promise you it will go away just with age, just with the experience of mind forgetting things, and that can become profound. As you all know, there's dementia and Alzheimer's in the future for many people. There's a body that's falling apart that needs operations, and then doctors who are hard to come by, and all the difficulties of life. And you will experience dissolution and suffering. Can you avoid that? Well, maybe a quick demise from the world would make you think, okay, I can escape that. But then, you read the Tibetan Book of the Dead or you watch my movie Jacob's Ladder, you discover that the leaving of this world is not the end. The journey that you did not finish while you were alive and in a body and able to start to do this searching for truth happens after you die. This dissolution is the doing everything that you can do right now. It is moving back toward unmanifested truth, the underlying absolute infinite eternal reality that you are, that you have been since the beginning, that you will be forever if you believe what I'm saying. Or you can just hope and pray that when the end comes, blackout, finished, done, ignorance is bliss. We'll find out. Your choice. Only reason I would push for trying to figure it out now, and by figure it out, I don't mean mentally cognating it. The reason I suggest sitting still, the reason Buddha tried it for 6 years, the reason my teacher Rudy came into being to help us find a path toward that was because it is a path that is, quote unquote, liberating. And if you want to be liberated from your ignorance, from your delusionary sense of what the world is and what truth is and what you've established as the absolute, if you want to be liberated from that dissolution, which is coming for everybody, already in play in many ways, if you want to be freed from that, you need to do the work. Go inside and ask for help to let go and surrender and go deeper and deeper and deeper into this foundational not knowing that is really the source of knowing. By not knowing, I mean way out of the pathway of the mind and the cognitive self trying to put the picture together. Let it go, let it go, let it go, and find your way, as uncomforting and discomforting as it may be, into a truth that does not include you. It's a shocking thing because we're so invested in our body and in this particular sense of self that we can't imagine that there could be joy without it. But I'm telling you, it was the joy of existence that made it happen. And it made it happen for a very particular reason. There is something celebratory about existing in the world, about hugging another person, about loving your mom and your dad and your friends and your connections, your cousins, your aunts and uncles, your children, your grandchildren, or yourself. There is a joy that is beyond belief. And it comes in the worst of times. In the worst of moments, you suddenly go, and would you trade existing and suffering for the missing of those things? Would you give up the idea of coming alive and into this world so that you didn't have to suffer? Probably not, because you've all chosen to be here, whether you believe that or not. You are all a manifestation of something. My word radiance, I'm calling it radiance. You're a manifestation of this radiant joy that goes through transformational stuff for a period of time and then evaporates back into its core nature. It's radiance. If you try to play with this with your brain, it's going to get complicated. If you just sit, 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 quiet, quiet. That's all it is. And it's waiting. It's just waiting. It is not even waiting. It's just there. You're the one who gets in the way of it. You're the one who gives time and space to it. You're the one who says, well, down the road, or if I sit an extra day, once I'll sit tomorrow, whatever. People come to me and say, I'm not practicing all that regularly, but, I'm going, if you want to have this amazing thing that Buddha had, which is awakening, there's something you have to do. It doesn't just come to you. If you want to see what comes to you every day, just look around. What comes is complicated and difficult, mostly. What comes is struggle. Yes, sometimes love and joy and all these other things, but it's very convoluted and has all these forces. But if you want to give a vastness to it, if you want to see it in contextual terms, let go of you as a separate force and see the amazement of who and what you are. Anyway, this is our journey. It's not simple and it's not comfortable at all. I've been watching the Oscar films because I have to vote the next day or two. And the last group that I will put off to the end because they're always the most painful were the documentaries. And so I'm watching these documentaries, and right now the universe is speaking to me with intention. Everything that happens in my life right now is unbelievably potent and directed to me. And the documentaries this year, not unlike other years, but this year really, really were about dismantling the truth of the world as I saw it in my brain, telling me historically the stuff I thought was one thing was another. And they are exceedingly disruptive, exceedingly. There's one about Indigenous children in Canada being raised in a Catholic school and being wildly betrayed by their superiors using the name of God in the usage of terror. There's one about Palestinian and an Israeli man who is a reporter and watching the unfolding of events there really from the Palestinian side. And then there was one that I just saw called, I think, Prelude to a Coup d'etat, which was the most impactful for me. And what it did is it took me back into the 1950s and took all these people who were, in my mind, a particular kind of person. There was the head of the United Nations, Dag Hammarskjöld. There was Adlai Stevenson. There was President Eisenhower. There were all of these people who I have fixed in my mind in a particular way. And this movie just said no to all of it. And Nikita Khrushchev, another one. These people, the world in this movie was all about the minerals in uh, the Congo and trying to get those minerals. And the Congo was oppressed by Belgium, and a new man, Patrice Lumumba, came up to be the new leader, elected leader of the Congo. And his decision to have ownership over these mines with all the minerals in it changed the world fabric. And all of these people who were, in my mind's heroic or people I looked up to, were so part of the orchestration to kill this man, to assassinate him. And I was like, it can't be like that. But it was like that. And I've had to take a fabric of my brain and how I looked at the world as a place of kind of peace and calm and intelligence and realize it was all about the minerals under the ground and who owned them. And that was like, really? It's not like really, because of course we know that. On a certain level, it's all about that. What's happening right now in Ukraine, if you read the papers, is it's a whole thing about minerals and wealth. And so, not that this is new information, but having to see it in the past and seeing it unwoven and having to realize I have to rethink how I imagine these human beings to be heroes who are no longer heroes is part of the process. And so, I'm being very specific here, but just to say, I've had to unweave my certainty of how the world's structured and what it is and how it works and bring it down to some pretty simple terms, which is who has the most money and the access to things that will bring money. And I'm sure it's not even that. I mean, I think even that is a kind of a simplistic statement. But what I'm trying to say is if you're paying attention, the world will begin to dismantle itself and inform you and correct your vision all the way up to the last moment of life. And then at the last moment of life, wow, your vision's going to get corrected in a whole way that you never imagined, which is there never was a you. None of this, none of this has the reality that you thought it did. And then you can go back to the title of my memoir. It's only a movie. You know, it's the disruption of truth in the world is enormous, but there is truth under that. Somebody made this movie. Somebody made this movie we are all watching and buying into with everything in us. But the problem is step back because the movie can get very intense. And if you don't have your mother next to you saying, honey, it's only a movie, then you got to find something that says that to you. And right now, I'm trying to come through and say to you, hey, it's only a movie. You're not here long. It's going to be disruptive because it has been from day one. There will still be waking up to a sunrise, and there'll still be birds in the bird feeder, and things will go on, and life will happen. Or if you're like in my house, we have an invasion of rats and mice, and all these people trying to get rid of them. And an elevator that is almost done on Tuesday, it will be done. All this disruption, workers in the house, they're day and night, and this disruption. And I keep going, okay, we're getting rid of the rats. We're going to have an elevator. Life is going to go on. And I know that it is an unending cacophony of stuff that happens for all of us, for all of us. The quietude at the center of that makes it possible. I wake up, and I cannot explain this, but I wake up happy in the morning. I wake up happy. I am happy, and the old generic idea to be alive. I am happy to be alive. I know all this stuff is going on. I know the rats are eating they're eating the flowers and they're anyway, I won't go into the whole story. I'm just trying to tell you life goes on, guys. It goes on, but the reality is it's it's like watch the movie, enjoy it. Truth is going to unfold and it's going to reveal itself in deeper and deeper ways. And at some point, truth is going to be liberating. And that's what we're working toward. So ignorance is maybe bliss for a while. Ignorance is very likely a source of suffering. In the end, go deep enough, and bliss and suffering and all of those things evaporate into something we will find out. But I suggest to you that it will be worth returning to and worth having experienced in this world because you are and we are blessed to have touched life and to be here and to wake up in the morning and go, oh, okay. Love you guys. Um, uh, any concerns, comments,
I
criticisms?
have a comment, Bruce.
I hear somebody. George, you okay?
Yeah, I just think discomfort is our ally in the sense that it makes us want to work and change. It's really the incentive to do that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, I think you all heard that, but George said discomfort is our ally. It makes us want to work and change. I totally buy that. You know, it keeps the world moving. That's for sure. And so, trying to escape it is maybe not the best answer. Trying to engage it and use it well is a better choice.
Hey,
Anybody
Bruce.
else?
Bruce, Mark. Hi, Mark.
Okay.
Hey,
Oh,
Bruce.
hi, Mark.
Hey. Interesting conversation about the idea of knowing, and truth will set you free. Shelley and I last night were talking about some of her experiences, spiritual experiences that have been fantastic, unbelievable. And yet, where the ego gets in the way, it starts to think it knows that experience. And to me, it feels like that knowing blocks the spiritual side of you to come in and take that knowing into a deeper place. But it seems like the ego continues to think it knows. And so that knowing is so entrenched that it cannot free itself to allow for it to go into a deeper place. Does that make sense to you?
Of course. Yeah, you and I are so on the same page, Mark. You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And and so owning spiritual knowledge, there are people who literally uh, may sell books and give classes and charge hundreds of dollars for this knowing. And I was always very impressed by Rudy not wanting to charge anything. Why give away something free and charge, or why charge for it? So no, I think the ego does try to own it, and the ego will do it up to the last minute, and that's why it gets so painful because you've got to get rid of everything, including the knowing of truth. As long as there's a you owning it, pain will be there, and that's a problem. I mean, not yeah. I mean, it's almost inevitable. It's hard to see the ego that at that level, but it does own. It does try to hold on to whatever it can, and it won't survive. It won't. So unfortunately, sorry guys, you're all going to have to let go of this person that you are and this knowing that you are, and you can either slip out of the entrapment, or you can wriggle out, or you can cut out, or be cut out of it. One way or the other. Not fun, but it is the journey in the end to liberation and freedom. And you can make it easier for yourself, and you can enjoy your life more and more every day. And no matter what's going on in the world, no matter how crazy it is, you can enjoy it. I've watched this, one of the documentaries is about Ukraine and the people being the first assault of Russia on Ukraine and how it affected people's lives. And it's horrifying, horrifying. But you see these moments of people coming together in ways that don't happen in peacetime. people finding comfort in each other in ways that are so heightened and so beautiful. And it's totally destructive and destroying and unpleasant. But you find this other thing that happens. And it's in the truth of our own lives. The difficulty of our lives requires this change that allows us to evolve and grow and find an unbelievable connection to the source of our being. And that's what we're searching for. Anybody else? Okay. Let me tell you, next week's class will be in New York, in-person class. It's also Friday is Rudy's Samadhi Day. It's the 52nd year since he passed. And we will have the private, the class here in person for anyone who wants to come and honor Rudy's passing and his being. And anyone who wants from LA to show up for that class is welcome to do that. As you guys are always welcome at 8 o'clock West Coast time. If you have the capacity to get up that early, there's a class every Sunday morning, and you guys are welcome to attend. I love you all. Thank you for being here today, and we will keep this going until we don't.